Has it really been 3 years since I've made a video on functions in Swift? Well, a lot has changed for functions. I'm just kidding. Functions are exactly the same as 3 years ago in Swift, but I'd like to do an updated video. So here that is. Okay, so I play a lot of Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game, so let's make a function call to attack something. So let's say you want to attack something. I think of functions as like a block of code that you want to execute again and again and again, something that might repeat in your app. So you can make this block of code called a function that will execute when you call it, when you tell it to do that. So we're going to make this block of code called attack. Func. And you do that by typing out the word func in Swift. So that says this next thing is going to be a function. Then you can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm going to personally call it attack. Typically functions are declared in using a lowercase letter. So functions are declared using a lowercase letter. So I'm going to call this function attack. And this is the basic syntax of making a function in Swift. Is you've got these parentheses, and that's where you put your arguments. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then the curly braces, and that's where the action happens. In between the curly braces, the action happens here. Now, you might want to return something out of a function, and we'll talk about that as well. And you use this arrow key to return something out of your function. So here we go. Let's go ahead and put a print statement inside of this function so that we can see it's working. And now that is the most basic, simplest function that we got. It's a block of code that when we call it to happen, it will attack, right? So if I hit the play button, actually nothing is going to happen yet because I'm not calling the function yet. This is just storing the code right for later. So down here, let's attack 3 times. First, attack, 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 boom. Let's go ahead and hit play and see down here, attack, attack, attack. So that's called calling a function. Calling a function, making it happen, making it do its thing. So let's say we want something special to happen inside of here. We want to attack with, let's say, a weapon. And I'm just going to make the weapon a string for now. In the future, we might make it like an actual weapon, like a structure called weapon. That'd be cool. But for now, we're just going to say, hey, we're passing in this thing. We're calling it weapon. Whenever you see a colon, I always think in my head of type. Weapon of type string. So we're attacking with a weapon of type string, and I guess we'll put it in here. So attack with, and I'm going to use string interpolation, and attack with weapon. So this is how you would print the string. You see down here it's yelling at me because now we're calling the attack to happen, but we're not actually passing in the weapon. So it's like, well, what weapon do you mean? So you'll see here it wants us to fill in the blank here. So I'm going to first attack it with a mace, and then and whenever you see this red circle with a dot in the middle, sometimes it's got a suggestion for you to fix it. So I click the fix because I'm lazy, and let's attack with a sword. And then the last one, let's see here, down here, maybe we can attack with some magic spell, magic missile. And boom. Now it should have solved all of my errors there. Let's see here. And now when we click play, it'll be like attack with mace, attack with sword, attack with magic missile. So you'll see this is how we pass stuff into the function here. But what are we attacking? So let's do that next. So attack, I'll put target of type string and a comma. So this is how you would pass in multiple parameters, multiple arguments into your function. I'll call these arguments usually. I don't know why. So you'll see we'll have to fix that. So first we'll attack the orc with our mace, and I'm going ahead and going to attack the orc a bunch of times. So I'll just throw this here, throw this here, throw this here. And so we're attacking the orc with the mace, attacking the orc with the sword, attacking the orc with the magic missile, and hit play, and oh, we're not doing anything with that. So we need to put that new this new target into action here. So I'm going to paste that in there. So now we're going to attack the target with the weapon. Go ahead and hit play here. So see, attack orc with mace, attack orc with sword, attack orc with magic missile. If I change this one to kobold or something, then you'll see it'll change this second line here. Boom, I'm in the heat of battle here. So this is a little more advanced function. Right now we've got a function called attack. We're passing in some parameters, some arguments here, and we're using those parameters inside of the function. Now you notice that this thing called target only exists inside of the function here. So I can't be like print target down here, print target. It's like, what are you talking about? What's a target? Target only exists up here, right? So the things that you make in here only exist inside of the function. And you can also go ahead and create variables and properties in here. So we'll call this like new string or whatever. And then what we could do is we could even actually make the string this stuff. So I'm going to Control X, which is like to cut and paste it there. And then I could just print the new string here. So you can see you can create things inside of functions as well. It's giving me a hard time because I don't actually mutate that property, so it wants me to make it a let. That's fine. Okay, so hopefully you're still with me here. So this is passing arguments in. What if we want, instead of printing it inside of here, what if we want this string to be returned? So we want to attack, but then we want to get a string out of this function. So we want this function to spit out something. Then you would use this dash and then, I don't know, the angled bracket. I don't know what you call that. But you make a little arrow, basically. And it means it's going to return a string. So you can return any kind of type. You can return a structure, a class, a string, a type, whatever. But you'll see it's yelling at me already because I'm not actually returning anything yet. So instead of printing it here, we're just going to type in return. We'll get rid of these parentheses, and now we should be good to go. So now the function is going to be returning that. Now it is returning it, but we're not storing it anywhere. So you can call the functions without actually storing the property that's returned. This is where things get a little weird. So we want to, we can do a couple things. We can store that property by like doing let orc attack string equal this. So now it's going to store that property in the orc attack, and we can go ahead and print out the orc attack string. And so this is going to run the function and then store the property over here. And now we're printing it down here. You see how we did that? Or you could just go ahead and print that whole thing like that. So you don't even have to store it. If you're just going to go ahead and print it, then print it. See? So let's go ahead and do that for these other two as well. So we're going to put the print statement in here. And then we're going to, oops, throw an extra little parentheses at the end there, parentheses. And now we're going to be printing out these three things. So now we've got a function, and the function has arguments, properties passed into it, and we're returning something out of it. And this is basically what you need to know about functions. There's a couple other little tricks or whatever, tips and tricks, is that functions, you can be a little more descriptive with the way they're called. So for instance, if you wanted to make this a little more readable, so like when you're calling the function down here, it's like attack, target, weapon. But what if you wanted to say attack, and then you don't even need to know that there's a target. So you can put this underscore in front of the name for your property here, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to remove the word target. So it's like, I know I'm calling it target inside of here, but actually if I put the underscore over here and then a space in front of it, then we actually don't need that word when we're calling it. So right now it'll read a little better when you call the function. When you trigger the function, it'll be like attack, orc, weapon, mace. that's not even good enough for me. I want it to be like attack and then the target with and then the weapon, right? So to do that, it's very similar to this, is you just put another word in front of there, right? So I'm going to say with weapon here. And the second word is the word that you refer to it inside of your function here, but the first word is what it's referred to outside of the function over here. So now we can replace that with that. So this reads a lot better, right? Attack orc with mace. I'm going to pause really quick, and I forget what they call each of these terms here. Oh. Okay, here we go. Yeah, they're called argument label and parameter name. So the argument label is this one, and the parameter name is this one. Whatever. This first one is what you call it outside of the function, and the second one is what you call it inside the function. Just a way to make your functions a little more expressive. And again, we don't need to go out and print these. Immediately we can just store the property later, for later, stored attack text, and then assign it to this function here. And then if we wanted to, we could just print the stored attack text like this. This is a more common way you might use your functions in code. You're not going to be printing a lot in your actual apps. Print statements in the actual app are just for your, if you're debugging or you're trying to figure out what's going on. The print statements are not actually visible to like people who you're using your app. They're more for the programmers. So typically you'd store the property that you're returning from the function somewhere and then use it somewhere else in your app. Maybe print it to, or maybe display it in a text field or something. I'm going to go ahead and hit play here just to make sure it still works. Yes, it does. So hopefully this is helpful for you. We went over functions, what they are, what they do, how to build simple ones, how to build complicated ones. And if you can understand this particular function here, then you're in a pretty good place. If you have any questions about this or comments, leave them down below. If you like this video, it's helped you, then like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.